Hello, Real Deals are on the air. Tonight we're talking about Charlie Manson, the Lesser Prayer of Banishing, Amazon's Alexia AI report.
Yeah.
And, oh, by the way, happy Thanksgiving, belated. And a reality review of the movie that Netflix has on called BeDeviled. It starts right now. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. The Real Deals are in the house and on the air. And we're live somewhere in this world, wherever Facebook is playing us.
Yes.
Hey, we left a big light on. I wonder if that matters.
And you know what, folks? I've got a bunch of new names right here to share.
That's right.
Well, you know,
potential winners.
That's right, potential drawing winners for, you know, this fabulous, cute little prize. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to see if I can get this in my camera. Can you guys see that? See that? See that? It's really
it's pretty
cute.
good.
And it's a ring. Okay. Goes on the little finger like this. That is what we're drawing for at halftime, folks. So if you shared, this is great. If not, get in on our next week giveaway, which, I don't know, perhaps we'll do earrings. We might do, I don't know, more key rings. I'm not sure. But you know what? We're going to spin it, win it, give it away at halftime. But for now, we have to open our show, as always, with our St. Michael prayer. So give us a second, folks, while we say a quick prayer.
In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the malice and the snares of the devil. May God rebuke him when we humbly pray. Do thou, Prince of the heavenly host, by the divine powers of God, cast into hell Satan and all the other evil spirits who roam through the world seeking to ruin the souls. Amen. Oh, Mary conceived without sin, pray for our radio TV show.
And you. And me.
And me.
Oh, and baby doesn't make 3 right now. Ding, ding.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's good to be back. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving.
Is the classroom full? Do we have we have the kids in the house? Do we have
Yeah, we'll have to check. We'll have to get in there and start hanging out in the comments, rolling on Facebook. You can go in the chat room and put them side by side, the windows, that is.
It's pretty easy to do, folks. All you do is you pull up a page, one on Facebook to catch us live, and then if you want to chat, because a lot of times we'll jump in chat and say hello too, go to the website and in a different browser window. So in other words, one in this window, second one in the other window, and then kind of like minimize them, squinch them together, you know, like when cupcakes you're going to eat, and then, you know, you can check it out as we go live. Exactly. So tonight, Ken, what's on the menu tonight for our viewers, listeners?
I think we're going to start off with introducing our... we don't have Michael Norton with us until he calls in.
Not yet, yes. Our Michael Norton from the Van Halen belt, who flew to Cambodia, ate disgusting bugs, snakes, and spiders, as, you know, Deb liked to point out.
And that was just in one-course meal.
But that's good protein, isn't it?
That was per night.
But we do have our fabulous, who?
We have Deborah Johnson.
Yes, that's the mellifluous Deborah Johnson. Can you chime in, Deb? Did you hang up on her?
Oh, wait a minute.
No, I'm here.
She's got the mic muted. Okay, I had to go look at it.
We just wanted to say hello to you tonight, sweetheart. Make sure you're still here. Okay, before we get started, we just wanted to check in, make sure your brain pan was still on the same wavelength.
Yeah, and happy Thanksgiving to you again, Deb.
Did you have a good turkey day? Did you watch your husband chase the bird around, finally corner it, bam, get the shot, and then you, the cute little squaw you are, grab that bird, take it in the kitchen, and pluck, pluck, pluck?
Oh, did you see that bird?
Yeah, she saw it.
Did she share that with you, Ken?
I remember that one. Was that weird one?
The little, she got a little happy with the lemons. Yes, she got a little happy with the lemons. I think she was making some kind of lemonade.
And a glass of wine she had.
Yes, well, you know, the wine was for basting. You just decided that you needed more basting than the bird. But that's all right. That's what happens to moms on Thanksgiving some days. They a little wine.
Yeah. Was it ham or turkey at your house, Chris?
It was turkey.
Okay, same here.
Yum.
But Christopher Sampson's back on board with us after our little holiday break. Very little, but yeah, we did a 15-minute live video or something, didn't we, Farah?
Yes.
And gave everybody our
Yes,
happy
we just
Thanksgiving
did something
wishes.
really goofy because we felt so bad. It's
Yeah.
terrible when you tell people, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and then all of a sudden you get there and like, can't deal with life. So we're like, wait a second, we got to just go on real quick and tell people why we're spazzing out for the holiday. So we did a little giveaway. We had a cute little booby prize, and we, just mailed it off. And
Yeah, that was a weird
the
day,
lucky
too.
winner
It's
was
just-
Doris. That was really great.
Yeah. Congratulations, Doris, on last week's
Congratulations.
premium on the Real
how
Deals
cool,
logo.
Ken, look at. Anytime you do something goofy, I got mistletoe. So every time a bell rings, it means you'll have to be nice to me.
No, I thought we blacked the cameras out for that
Oh,
part.
that's not very nice. Chris, you with us?
Of course.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What did you chow on? I mean, your wife is a phenomenal cook. I've seen some of the beautiful piles of stuff. I mean, it's a miracle you're not 400 pounds, child.
Well, it's that season, and I am days away. Actually, I had a fat nut because I'm days away from my first appearance as St. Nicholas to the PSR at our parish.
Oh, that's so sweet. I tried to get Ken to do that when I was teaching the, what was it, the first kindergartners?
Kindergartners,
like,
yeah.
Honey, we need Jolly St. Nick. He was not in the mood to be so jolly, though. He just
Yeah. I wasn't that big then either. That was like a year ago.
that was like way long
I would have
ago.
been perfect like a year and ago, whatever. What I had a year and a half ago, I was like up to 275.
Oh my gosh, that's right. Kids love this. Oh my gosh, they're gonna love
Thanks a
you,
lot,
Christopher.
Pepsi.
The last time, okay, you guys, way before all this strange stuff going on in the news, I got to play Santa Claus. We're talking. I'm not kidding you. Okay, now.
Oh my
that's a
gosh.
story.
Okay,
How long ago was that?
Total story. Okay, all right. Let's see. Our oldest is 26. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is probably about 21, 22 years ago. All right, and
Oh
this
my
was.
gosh.
I'm not kidding you. Now, as an actress,
It's
okay,
like Melania
and
Trump
I was-
playing Santa Claus.
I was doing auto show. I'm like, okay, how do I get my voice like Marlon Brando? So I'm like researching how, if you're a girl and you have, a girly voice, how to get your voice to change. Guess what? I did as Marlon Brando did. I got some marbles and I put some marbles in my cheeks.
Oh no, that's dangerous.
Oh, it
I'm glad you're
hurt.
still
It
with
hurt.
us.
After you have like 45 kids on your lap and you're passing out candy canes, you're like, what do you want for Christmas, kid?
Did he put cotton? I thought he put cotton in his mouth. or
I don't
something
remember.
like
I
that.
thought he said marbles, so I just got these tiny little marbles at like the Dollar Tree or something, shoved them in my face. My
Yeah.
jaw was so sore.
Uh-huh.
But the kids, oh my
Oh,
god,
that's funny.
their
That
little
was really nice
smiles,
of you.
Their little, they were just like so delighted, and I had the whole costume too. Christopher, I don't look as good as you, okay? So I had to like literally put all the fur and everything on me, and
Yeah.
half the fun I think was wrapping up. The little, because what I did is I knew it was kids, so I got the real cute stuff. I got little tiny little, candies and pencils, and they were just like, and even though we know that Santa Claus is a myth, and even though we know that St.
What?
Nicholas, shut up,
What?
we know that children, for some reason, since this has been around, and which of course we're going to talk more about the myths this month too, about Christmas and all this other stuff, and how Advent hasn't even started. We don't really start the Christmas season until Christmas, but hey, holiday mood of America.
Yeah.
Saint Nick, basically kind of resembles the Santa Claus, and there's other Santa Clauses all over the world. What kind of Santa Claus are you? Are you a nice Santa Claus, or are you an evil Santa Claus,
The
Christopher?
bad Santa.
Well, right now I'm a few extra pounds heavier Santa Claus. That's what I am.
I haven't seen you lately.
But I am actually going. My whole intent for this to kind of do that because I also am going to appear as Santa Claus at my work a few weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
But my whole
That's
intent
so
is
sweet.
to bring back the Christian symbolism.
Ooh, how are you going to do
Santa
that?
Claus.
How are you going to inject
So.
that? I want to hear this.
Put a Pax Christi on your.
Well, for one, I have a crown of holly leaves, and holly
Oh, yeah.
a symbol of eternal life, and
Uh-huh.
that's what Christ came to give us, to crown us with eternal life.
Wow, I like that.
Yeah. Well, that's good to, keep Christ in the Christmas, and that's even more so.
Exactly.
To make Santa Claus. Up at St. Joseph's Church in town here, on the Christmas Mass night, they have this moment where Santa Claus comes in there and he kneels down at the
Christ Child's manger.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Oh, wow.
That's
Isn't that
nice. That keeps
sweet?
Christ and Christmas and Santa Claus, and relating to that he honors, adores, worships Jesus, the Christ child, and I think that's good and important.
Right.
It's a different year this year for a lot of things, and not to mention
Yeah, a lot of different
you know,
things.
all these crazy things that happen on Black
I
Friday. We're not going to
love
talk about that.
Deb,
Yep.
I think we should make holly.
I'm here.
I think we should make
Una's
holly
pulling
crowns.
out my bathrobe and dragging me around.
That's right.
Oh,
That's,
Una. You know
That's
what,
the benefit
Una,
of not being in
you ought to
studio.
put reindeer antlers on Una and take some pictures so we can get you.
Yeah, I should.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
that beast is going to eat you out of house and home.
I know.
And we got some news items tonight that we'll go over
As
real
well
quick.
as kind of covering some stuff that we were going to cover last
Mm-hmm.
week and talk to you about some of the serious things and some of the lighthearted things, and always remind you that the battle's been won, folks. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get in chat right now to play with you. Go ahead, Ken. Take it away.
Interesting topics. Remember how we do this thing where we're talking about
my
Sophie?
Gosh.
Sophia?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was Sophia,
Yeah.
the robot, who says, "I hate humans and I want to kill you all."
Is
Oh
that
my
weird?
gosh,
I'm just kidding,
I'm
yeah.
so offended. It's like I wanted a friend and I bought a rubber doll. I think this is why I have always not liked dolls, folks.
Oh, and that's what it is. It's a
Creepy,
doll
creepy,
with mechanical and electronic
A
parts in
doll
there,
with an
right?
attitude, a doll that wants to kill you. Oh my gosh, it's just so not nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Terrible.
The people are going crazy on YouTube. Just watch over the next 6 months. You're going to see everybody testing Alexia, and this is one of the reasons right here. And the AI watch. First, I want to explain a little bit of technology. You have a Google phone. I'll just go by that. I mean, I'm sure iPhone's the same way. Whenever you're looking up a word or something like that, that's not the same as the Office thesaurus or spell check.
No.
But when it does this, where it's actually doing the voice recognition, what do you
That's
call that
kinda
again?
creepy.
When you
It's-
dictate it and with your voice, what's that called again?
They also have
Speech-
face. It's speech recognition.
Yeah.
They have face recognition.
Yeah.
And whether you need an app or not, there's something on your phone that will actually. It will not turn off your phone if it recognizes a face actually looking at the screen. Is that kind of weird or what?
And it does. It's not on your phone. It's not in the computer memory or program of your phone. It actually goes through Google. And so this is what these things like Alexia are. It's a central computer tapped. The computer's not in Alexia. It probably it's like a Wi-Fi thing, and because it sends data out, video and audio, information that you might tell it, and gathers this data. Anyway, it's just getting really Orwellian and other things. It's just really strange. But anyway, this article right here, hilarious yet creepy. That's pretty much something for fun size of here. I don't know if you can really see this so much because it's kind of small.
Oh, that's Alexa. That's everybody's best friend.
Glorified
Oh,
malware.
and you know what's disturbing to me? I want to ask you guys about this. The commercials I've seen about Alexa, folks, is they show an older couple, like my husband and I and me. Even though we're kind of hippie looking, we're kind of up there. And they show this older couple that was about our age, and they go to their children's house to spend the night. So in other words, they're visiting, and you see them laying down in bed, and they're saying, "Alexa, turn off the lights. Alexa, turn off the lights. Alexa," and you're like, "What are you doing?" They think that there is an Alexa in the room that's going to turn the lights off for them. Now,
They don't have to clap anymore?
no, they don't have to. No, the clapper. Remember the clapper? Grandma wanted a clapper. Everybody wanted a clapper.
Yeah, I
This
could see
is now
that.
Alexa.
Uh-huh.
I thought that was creepy. That these old people want Alexa.
Yeah, anything that makes life easier. And that's what the robot's supposed to do. Except you're not going to get an android walking around or riding on a unicycle like they did in Star Wars Episode 2. It's going to be a long way off of that. It'll be on wheels like the Lost in Space robot.
I seen a video about Alexa, and a woman was asking it all kinds of questions, and she would answer everything she said, and then she came to a question and said, Alexa, do you work for the CIA? And then Alexa wouldn't answer.
Oh my!
And she repeated the question over and over, and Alexa wouldn't answer that.
That's one of the things. They're buzzing everybody to try that, and there's this one guy who did it, and it shuts off every time he asks it questions like that.
Exactly.
Are you sending data to NSA, and it shuts off? The light goes off, and you hear the you.
And why wouldn't it? Google. I mean, we're giving Google everything we do. If your phone is even turned on, and your Samsung television is posting everything for you in their bedrooms so they can sit there and watch it. I mean, how boring are we? We sit and have chips on the weekend, and other than that, we lead boring lives. I mean, tonight we were watching The Grinch, ready to throw food at the thing because the poor dog was like over the edge of the mountain. Makes me cry every time.
Oh, the Grinch dog. Is still Christmas?
Yes.
Yeah, the poor dog hanging on the edge of
that little dog is so cute.
Yeah.
I have issues with people hurting dogs. Okay, get on with our story so we can talk
anyway, it was Steven Crowder. He has a show. It's a show like ours called, except his is political and philosophical or whatever. And it's called Louder with Crowder. But he just, the guy that presented it. Other people have already tried this stuff.
Oh, yes, definitely.
And if you notice here, I don't know if you can see this well enough. Let's just blow it up a little bit so you can read it on your computer right here. He just starts asking simple questions like how many genders are there.
Questions too?
Straight out of the Gender Studies Handbook, it says they're saying male and female and main two genders on the spectrum, quote. And there's not known how many genders actually exist. So it's already been programmed, with this. It's not going to think for itself at all, and that's not even scientific, so... and then it continues to spew such leftist rhetoric, and I think this definitely fits it. That a detailed description of the Prophet Muhammad and calling the Muslim idol a wise prophet. Okay,
That's crazy.
I mean, it's fine being politically correct, I guess. But then it says Jesus was simply a fictional character. Okay, now we're getting biased. If you want to be neutral, you're saying Jesus was a fictional character? Because even the archaeologists said that he's real. The ones that don't believe in any kind of deity. So it gets worse, and I'm sure people are going to think of new questions to be like, what? Who programmed this thing? Joseph Stalin? Speaking of Stalin, Alexia was asked a political question that leaving out the fact that Stalin killed millions when they asked about detailed about Stalin. In the old days, every time Stalin's name came up, it was always about how he massacred millions of people. And now they're leaving it out because, God forbid, a communist looks bad now, We'll go around and let's hear some opinions on this stuff, but I think you kind of know where this is going. This is the artificial intelligence, yet it's not very intelligent.
No, it's not.
It's just been programmed with pre-programmed political and religious beliefs. And that's not what I thought the robots would be. You know what I mean? I mean, look at all of our favorite robots, Crichton from Red Dwarf, or even the Lost in Space robot, or some other so-called artificial life forms or something were more smart and logical than this. All right, guys, you got a long way to go. No, that's the way they want them to be. So, Farah, we'll start with you, or we can wake up Deb with a slap the ruler on her hand.
She's chasing around this dog she's got, people. It's like, if you've ever seen a Percheron, the Budweiser horses, that's going to be her dog, okay? This dog is...
Yeah, Deb, you're getting a saddle for Christmas. I shouldn't have said that.
Part of the couch, but 3/4 of the couch is gone. She's lucky she gets the tiny corner on the end of that couch.
There's something really funny thinking about that.
Instead of, having the dog to pet nicely, she's got to come to the couch with like a towel, not a little hand towel, like a body towel, because when Una licks her, she's had a bath and she's got to sit there.
Oh, definitely.
Hey, Deb, remember when the dog jumped on the end of the couch and you were on the other end and you shot up into the ceiling?
And Arnie's like laughing in the background going, ah!
Remember when it jumped in the full bathtub of water when you were in there and all the water splashed out all over the house? Yeah, those are the things. Remember that time it buried the moon?
Oh my gosh, poor you.
And you had to dig it up with your.
Oh, that little baby.
Hope Arnie's buying a saddle for you for Christmas. That's what gets.
Actually, I have 3 beautiful saddles
Oh, I'll bet you
out
do.
in my garage.
Oh.
Yeah, that's where
And I
your
have
horse is.
one pony saddle, a brand new one. That's Jake's.
Yeah.
That was his first pony saddle. So Arnie and I, we still have our saddles, and I think will definitely fit one.
So you're going to get Alexia in your house anytime soon, Deb?
Oh, absolutely not. I wouldn't have that in my house.
But it can
for
start your
nothing.
coffee for you and make it exactly like. No, probably not. I mean, you probably have to buy some interface
And
device.
it's bad enough. We have these HD TVs and
We have-
everything. I mean, it's like I feel the government can actually watch you now.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I used to always think that when I was little that the people on TV could actually see us. But now that's
Now
not.
you know they can.
That's not
They
too far
can.
out there because they said in the news that they can tap in and watch you right through your TV.
Yes,
There was
they
this comedian, of course, Yakov Smirnov. Is that how you pronounce it? Yakov? Not Yakov.
can. Yakov.
He's in Branson still. He is from Russia, but his routine is pretty much about the old Soviet Union. I don't know what it's like now. I mean, I saw him on Carson and stuff back in the old days. And there's another one. It was a Chinese comedian, had the accent, and he used the same kind of routine. Both of them said the same joke. I don't know how that happened, and in America, you watch TV, and in China, TV watch you, Oh, that's pretty funny. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's good. Now it's, if you have a camera mounted on the front of your TV, you don't know what.
Nothing
And microphone.
surprises me today. Nothing surprises me because all these new gadgets that are put out and the engineers, it's all diabolical engineering.
Yeah, it doesn't
what I
have the
call
proper purpose. It's all about, and they keep saying it's for demographics.
Right.
Like the
But like,
help you.
like you were talking about those, Sophia before, the robot?
Yeah.
To me, that's, engineering that was done diabolically. And how they come out with these new babies now. These silicone babies.
Oh, yeah, just wait for the genetic engineering to kick in and we start getting.
That is creepy.
Yeah.
Very
That's something to scare you about.
For the benefit of new listeners, to keep it brief, we were mentioning last time how easy it is to basically for, let's say, a person in the dark arts to create a demonic attachment to something, and it's going to plug itself right into the AI, and it can puppet this android around the house using its its computer. I mean, if they can get cell phones to call each other and animate, things in real time and perfection, and all the other diabolical tricks.
Remember a few years ago when they came out with the Furbies?
Oh my gosh, remember those
My
things?
kids were still young.
What was that?
And
I don't remember that one.
I had to
Furbies,
get
they were
them Furbies
creepy.
for Christmas. They wanted Furbies.
Oh, they like
And-
dolls or something?
Yes, like
Oh,
short,
another one?
short
Boy, none of these
dolls.
doll fads. Power Rangers, Cabbage Patch Kids
Yeah,
of the past.
You would talk to it, and it would talk, and this and that. And it's like, I actually ended up putting the Furbies away. I have them still.
Why is that?
Put them away because of the fact I started thinking, this is a way for the government to actually come into these little creatures that they made.
Well, that was early. My parents were really early too. We
Well,
got
for
it.
my kids.
How long ago was that,
Hello?
Deb? How long ago was that?
Let me see. Jake was 10 years old and Jeremy was 7.
Oh wow! So that was some time ago. My parents got this color TV, I don't know, 1980, and it had a cable attachment built onto it, and they thought cable TV was going to be it. That it was going to pipe directly, and then, no, there's no camera in the circuitry, Mom, or Dad, or whoever. But yeah, it's like now these things are starting to come true, and it's not conspiracy theories at all.
Everything comes with a camera today.
Yeah.
Everything. Like I saw these little monkeys, these little toy monkeys, and I thought they were cute. I seen them advertised on Facebook.
Lately,
Through one of the advertisements. I said, "Oh, that's cute." you know, but it'll talk, it'll do this, it'll do that, and they're not that expensive. And I said, no, you know, I can't trust anything like that to give to another kid or something. It's like, I don't know who's watching me, who's recording anything. I just don't trust it because of our government.
Yeah. Well, without getting into on the political spin on this thing, the point is if it's used for diabolical purposes, it fits the scope of the show.
Well, that's what it's for. It's for diabolical purposes. That's all has to do with the devil's work right there.
And we talked about this, what they used to call Frank's box. They call it Ghost box, and it just, you know, or how about even more so, the synthetic sound generator that they call the obelisk. Well, what if you come up with some advanced AI and it can just communicate through that? That's next. Really just wait.
Creepy.
When it gets cheaper, people are going to use Alexia for that type of thing. They'll bring it to ghost hunting conventions or whatever. And then, you know, they're just opening up so much of a can of worms now. Now we got the new Ouija boards, and even though they're still using those. So someone's got to tell them about it, and we're just the guys to do it, right?
Basically. Speak for yourself.
Ken, you said new Ouija boards? What are the new ones? I only know of the...
Barbie and what's the other one?
Oh, that kind. Oh, all right.
Yeah, that's not a new one, I guess. It's been out.
Any of those will work, Ken. Any of those will work and bring evil right through those boards.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I don't know what the one the boys had. I saw a couple of the girls' ones. You know, it was Barbie and then probably My Little Pony or something. My Little Pony Ouija board. The pony died. Now you can contact it to the Ouija board. You know, who knows? It seems like they'll try anything now. Chris, did you have anything to add to that?
Or tell us when you're going to get an Alexa.
I was just thinking about the, you know, the enemy can't really do anything on his own. He always tries to mimic whatever God's doing.
So true.
You know, he couldn't bring anything out from nothing. God can, but yet here he is trying to imitate life. He's trying to imitate how, you know, the human body operates and emotions, to mimic emotions. That's all it is, you know, being a mimic. In fact, I saw some robot that can now do backflips and land on its feet.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And then run upstairs. I saw a video from a Massachusetts, I think it was a Massachusetts robot company where they built, basically it's like a four-legged dog.
Oh, my God.
Oh, I saw that.
This thing can be on ice, and the guy pushed it, and it doesn't fall over. It aligns itself, keeps moving. It'll run up hills.
That's creepy.
I mean, why? What is that? I mean, one of the comments on that particular video was, what if the government wanted to chase down a group of people and hoist guns on the sides of these dogs, robot dogs, and let them loose?
Yeah, military purposes.
It's all about you know, this mimicry that the enemy does, and you know, I know that there's that decades-old question, you know, well, what really is life? What is life? You know, there was that movie, Artificial Intelligence.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, do you remember that? That was horrific.
That was a decent movie. Yeah, in fact, we actually own it. But, you know, the whole premise was, when does AI become life? Well, theologically, only God can create life.
That's right.
And life is tied in with the soul, and only God can give that. You and I cannot.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, they can make narcissists. You know, a 9-point narcissist is a profile of a serial killer. When you have all aspects, you know, just in your field. And what happens if you make a robot that has no, you know, what's it called? No empathy by default, because that's what they say narcissism is, even though you see it, it's really an overswelling of the pride a lot of times. You automatically just made a killer. They have no emotion, and you have to program them to them. I'm programmed not to harm humans, unless I get pissed off. Uh-oh. Oh, darn it. Sorry, I got to get that word out of my vocabulary.
But then they make the gadget cool, and these 20-something college kids, these high school kids, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I need one of those. In fact, it wasn't about robotics or anything, but my 11-year-old came home the other day from school, and they had some presentation that one of the cops was doing about this whole vaping, and he was quite astonished of, I guess they during the presentation they learned that certain pills and drugs are being masqueraded as candy and painted up like candy.
Oh,
Here we have this on a whole other scale. If
that.
you make it attractive, you make it cool, this
Exactly.
is a fun new gadget, this will make your life simpler. Bam, people want it.
Yeah. You bring up a very, very important point. Ken and I, we haven't quite figured out how we're going to do that show yet, but I've got images, Christopher, of it kind of looks like sweet tart candy, and it looks like Flintstone chewables, and it's actually some very lethal cocktails. I mean, these aren't the drugs that we had in the 60s and 70s and 80s, kids. These are very, very highly potent, lethal doses of cocktails that you have no clue what these chemicals are when you get them. And
she doesn't mean, when she says we had, she means our generation.
I'm talking about our generation, I'm not talking about Ken and I.
Yeah, we never were into drugs, for the record.
Reams of drugs. I'm talking about back when we were growing up, kids. So the point I'm making, Christopher, is that the more, and I want to include this, and please don't feel bad if you currently use a vaporizer to help quit smoking. That's a good thing. The vapes are proving much more long-term damaging to your chromosomes, much more damaging to your organs than they even know. There's no studies out because it's so new. But it tastes good. It's cherry, and it's vanilla, and it's root beer, and it's got all these wonderful flavors, Christopher, that kids that are, I can remember in school, if a kid at 9 had tried a cigarette, there was something really wrong with that kid.
Yeah.
And kids today, they would think nothing of, vaping really isn't smoking. And, if their mom and dad are doing it and it tastes good. And I'm talking about kids we see at the bus stop.
Well, there's, in fact, Aiden, my 12-year-old today, I picked him up from school. He said this morning there was an 8th grader he knew that was vaping before school. And that's what's happening now. But, I bring that up to kind of use in the larger context of the AI. You package it in a certain way, and people think this is that. Oh wow, I have to have this, if I'm gonna be it. And you put it in a toy, you put it in a candy, you put it in whatever form, and that's how evil can get their hook in.
That's true. Like the Ouija board, where we're just saying, make it a Barbie Ouija board, make it an angel algae board. You make Alexia,
it's something
the
harmless and attractive to children.
And they already do it with cell phones anyway. So, and cell phones were kind of launch pad, I guess. You take them everywhere. Alexia just stays at home, spies on you like that babysitter teddy bear.
The sad thing about this
not for your benefit
AI business, with Chris pointing out that our theological background tells us that life cannot be created without God, so the soul cannot be created without God, still begs the question, can, like Christopher was saying, can life be imitated? Well, yes, we know life can be imitated by, Satan's angels that fell. And this begs to the second part of the question that we want to talk to you folks about. There is a very, very serious aspect, as Deb well knows, about watching an object such as a dinosaur move on its own. That's directed by a very malevolent spirit, and it is beyond this what the senses want to comprehend. Let's take it to the AI question now. When you have a robot, and you have people that are not baptized, not Christian, not Catholic, or or maybe they are. And one of these robots, because of choices these people have made, have invited in something very horrific beyond their understanding. How are they going to know if this robot, who is supposed to have empathy, and let's say they program this robot to be sarcastic, they program this robot to be offhanded, they program the robot to cuss and just be as flagrantly disrespectful as they are? How are they going to know if this robot decides to turn on them that this is a spirit, or this is just the result of their own choices of how they program the robot?
Yeah.
This is dangerous water and dangerous territory, folks. Really dangerous.
Yeah. Speaking of dangerous,
Did we get the Van Halen belt to slow
let's
down
see,
for Michael Norton to jump off?
well, yeah, let's see. Michael Norton, we were talking about Alexia, if you caught a segment of that.
And welcome back from the spider-eating kingdom.
Didn't do no spiders,
And happy Turkey Day before that, too.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
came a day earlier over there. That's kind of interesting.
Just a quick opinion from me about the Alexia AI seems to have a pre-programmed political and religious belief system, at least, which also skews, any real science, as you might know. So people are already testing it. They're asking if it sends data to the CIA and it shuts off, it doesn't answer,
We know it does.
or rephrase the question, or asking if it's, monitoring us from the NSA. It acts weird on those questions, and so people are testing it on YouTube, and you're going to see a lot of this coming up. But part of our thing is an expansion on the idea that AI, not that it's invading our privacy, but that there's a potential to get it. What was that sound anyway?
Oh, that was, must have been just one of those things, electronic devices and stuff.
Yeah, quit playing with that.
It was Alexa taking
bring
over the
up-
office.
Exactly, it was Alexa
Yuck,
taking
yuck, sticking here.
over my candle.
She's listening.
She's playing with her Alexis over there. Let's put out, I'm taking the Lexus back for Christmas.
Exactly.
The giant bow. Okay, anyway, what say you about the, propensity of... Come on, stop.
I didn't do it on purpose.
Is that Dr. Freud or is
That's
that
why I don't
Alexa?
have my
That-
phone in
Dr.
here.
Freud is swirling around
Yeah.
on the desk somewhere.
So go hang in the chat room and
That's
turn the
that's
emojis
cultural
off.
big
So they
issue,
don't-
though, this AI stuff, or bring it into our house and we don't fully understand it.
Precisely. That's the danger.
It's like, that's why I never brought it into my house. Because it goes out the internet. I don't want my house wired out the internet yet.
Exactly.
All these hackers doing stuff. My house can be, taken away from me.
Yeah.
Hijacked how easily, Mike?
Easily. Yeah. And have people monitoring when I'm purchasing or I'm talking to you. This is a total invasion of privacy. And if you look at, like you said there too, the Prophet Muhammad is calling him a wise prophet.
Yes.
I don't know if you recall back during, was it several years ago, when the VP of Google flew out to Egypt and caused the Muslim Spring? That was him.
Really? The VP of
Yep.
Google?
Yep, he was a Muslim Egyptian guy. And all that stuff that went down in Egypt was about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago or longer. And they called it the Muslim Spring, or whatever it was called, the Arab Spring.
Yeah, there's some weird
Oh
stuff
my
going on with that.
That was him that triggered it. He went over another. I'm surprised he wasn't, brought back for treason. But we didn't have a real president back then.
No, we
Nope.
didn't. We had a president that was apologizing to foreign nations and throwing us under the
Yeah.
bus because of his hatred of, what did he call his father's hatred of colonial countries
Yeah.
and that sort of thing.
Yeah, all you have to do is watch his old video interviews, and he talks just like what these things reveal. Because later on, when he realized he's running, he had to get more neutral, at least in what he says, not in the way he acts and believes. So that's still in there, like Alexa. Looks like a cardboard tube, but
You
it's
should ask him about Castro. Was there answers about that yet?
well, they did in the article here. And
Oh, did they?
not that you're in front of it right now. It was actually asked about Stalin. And
I
it said
saw,
everything but the idea that he killed Muslims. It was asked about Muhammad, and it says he was a wise prophet, and saying that Jesus was merely a fictional character.
Oh God.
Yeah, so it's,
Well, okay. Let's talk about some stats. Okay, you guys are talking about Alexa and the dangers here. What is Alexa needed for? To collect data and to control. Why would she want to control? Because the food that they are feeding us isn't totally debilitating us quick enough. When right now the current stats are 56% of Americans are overweight and obese. 56% people.
Yeah.
And the childhood obesity is going to kick that up to, what did I tell you earlier, Kenny? It was going to kick it up to like 77. We're turning into the Wall-E movie.
Yeah.
If you
Remember
haven't
Wall-E?
seen that.
Yeah, I'm surprised that
Seriously,
ship could fly.
we're all just going to be these cute little blobs on a little scooter going, come on, Alexa, feed me, Alexa, until we're what? We're jellyfish? No, I don't.
And they put it, it's like high fructose corn syrup, synthetic sugar. And your body can't.
Your body can't
dispose of it and
the
process it.
synthetic
It's not-
hormones that are currently in the
it's
meat
not-
and the milk and in the water
And
system.
of course, GMOs and whatever else. But that's another show. I guess we better
But
move on.
that is how the devil works in our world. Like Christopher was saying earlier, the devil, seeks to trick us any way he can by convincing us he doesn't exist. Temptations aren't real. Just go ahead and enjoy yourself. Make Alexa do it. You don't have to do it. You deserve a day off. Yeah. They started with that little Roomba thing, the little disc that floated across the floor and picked up my dust bunnies. Shoot the thing.
Yeah. And then they put drinks on it and
I know.
There you go, the butler.
Exactly.
Butler, yeah.
and it served drinks like R2D2
But it
on
won't go across
and the
the
sandbars for
pit.
Jabba the Hutt.
All right, get on.
It's like R2D2 is an astro droid, and that's what Jabba. That just tells you what these people are like. That's the first thing you default to.
Off topic.
Charlie Manson.
We
Charlie
should ask Alexa
Manson.
for off topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is funny. 1969. And, we haven't had that spirit here
isn't
since
funny.
1969. Hotel California, which is also called, what was it, Church of Satan? One founded
that-
by, was that founded by Anton LaVey, Mike? Here, that was in your neck of the woods, so to speak.
Anton LaVey, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of weird stuff happened in 1969, including the Manson family murders. And
that was the beginning.
yeah, he passes away.
The LoBianco murders. Yeah.
One of the, I don't know if you call it disturbing or, as much as it can be interesting for people who endeavored in the study of the psychological mind. We have to deal with that all the time because we're dealing with people that are oppressed and possessed, subjugated, obsessed. I mean, and Christopher, you with the drugs, people rehab or alcohol rehab and that sort of thing. If you look at the profile of Charles Manson that Farah is going to detail, we were talking this at some length because you see this happening before he even gets old enough. You could almost profile him by the time he's.
By the time he's 12, I could have profiled him completely, basically because of my study of the serial murder, the whole humanistic ideal of the broken psyche. But this goes so beyond it. But go ahead, Ken. It's just horrific.
Yeah,
it's just horrific.
Well, I hope you can see this on the monitor. Also,
can everybody see that?
There
this is just a headline. As an 83-year-old man that was refused parole over and over again due to the fact that they knew he could not be rehabilitated.
Yeah, Sharon Tate was said to be a high priestess.
Yes, she was.
Pretty high priestess.
Sharon Tate was married to who? Roman Polanski, who molested, drugged a 13, 14-year-old girl in a hot tub party.
I'm sure that's not the only time. That's the only one he got caught with.
And he ran to Europe and is still there.
Yeah, and that's we know about what's going on with the Hollywood and these sex scandals coming out. So there's kind of a reflection on that. So the details of this stuff is just it's more like not so much of what happened, but the profile of Charles Manson himself. And some people are just so spot on that the two parent family household. If they're both bad, you're in worse shape. But if you just have one, and then the boyfriend or anybody becomes the babysitter, and in some place I lived in Franklin County, they actually had this daycare center where they were accused of doing satanic rituals with the children they were there. Mm-hmm. It was a couple of trailers that they had. I forgot the name of the daycare center. I guess it's so relevant. And this was like in the late 80s, early 90s. Now you don't hear that anymore. It's like they scrubbed that purposely out of news. We know what's going on, so now people hear that, it doesn't happen anymore. That stuff doesn't happen. That's what you hear sometimes from people about the devil doesn't work that way nowadays. I mean, you think that they see enough in the world now to see that he's still working that way nowadays? Mm-hmm. So, gentlemen and ladies, just want to hear what you have to say about the this type of thing. That he did not, Farah, correctly, he did not. He wasn't the one that committed the murders, but his followers did, right? Mm-hmm. So he was the ringleader, correct?
Well, let's put it this way. There's so much more to the story than the public will ever know.
Mm-hmm.
The actual facts about who Charles Manson was and how he was able to convince these children, which I mean children, 17, 18, 19-year-old. I think the oldest was 19 years old. He learned very well from his captors. And what I mean captors is that Charles ended up in trouble at a young age. I believe he was 8 or 9 years old when his mother decided she couldn't handle him, and she turned him over to the state, saying that they could handle him better. Now, of course, poor Charlie Manson, he had a very rough upbringing with his mother, who did not really want him, did not want to raise him. So he had serious abandonment issues from a very early age. We're not going to go into his really early childhood, but let's just put it this way. He was, and always up until the end, he was an institutionalized person. He was damaged at a very young age. He was set up and abused in these foster care system homes, drugged, repeatedly raped, molested, beat. Because of his small stature, I don't know if too many people know, he was very, very, very tiny. And it was easy to corner him and repeatedly molest him. I am not going to get into the graphic details of what was done to this poor child, but I feel for him. I feel for the little boy that wanted a mother, the little boy that just wanted to go home. Between husbands, she'd let him come home, and then she'd decide that she couldn't take care of him. She'd turn him back over to the state. This was a ping pong. Yes, constantly. Until he finally couldn't take being raped anymore, and he ran away from the group home. This was about 14, 15, and then he kept getting caught because he would use the skills that he learned from his tormentors. And this is how the Tate LaBianca and the Helter Skelter murders were committed. In these homes, he learned the atrocities of survival. The oldest wolves would abuse the younger wolves with drugs, torture, sex, horrific things. And if that isn't Satan, I don't know what is. These people would in turn, turn Charlie over to other adults to be used. This is how the foster system worked him. So he learned their methods of how to make another docile, how to destroy another and break another down. So that by the time he had started his little ranch ideas, with the hippie culture kids, he knew exactly the drugs to use, which ones would react the shortest, the longest, which ones would make their minds more pliable. And he also used sex. He was neither homosexual, bisexual, heterosexual. He was determined to follow the twisted thinking of his shattered mind. He was, I would say, if he was not in perfect possession, I don't think, he was very far from it due to his institutionalization, his choice of drugs, his choice of life, and his absolute hatred of everything and everybody at being disabused so. I know it sounds terrible to sympathize with a little boy that he used to be, but I do. And I see there's nothing left of him. When you look at the final images of Charles Manson and how he died, there is nothing left of that little boy. It was destroyed.
Imagine what he'd be like if he was in the right household, like Padre Pio was. And all of his positive attributes of leadership, he had some, everybody does. He's not pure evil. And without the corruption, at an early age, and it sets in so much. Mike, you worked with Father Thomas, and we know Father Thomas in California, and he had mentioned on our show, when we had him on a radio show before, about the soul wounds. That's just a word that they use. I don't know, other people might use other words. And how deep they are when they are done at the childhood level. And how they become invitational. Because as we know, had Charlie been baptized, he would have been protected till he was 12 or 13, the majority, and then his choices would have been kicked in. I don't believe he was ever baptized. I don't believe he was ever protected. I don't believe he ever had the opportunity to live a safe or clean life. Yeah, someone said on Facebook, they said, pray for him. And my first thought was like, what? Why would you pray for somebody I said, I'm still praying, saying prayers for Jerry Lewis or, John Candy.
Severe horror in other people's lives and cause these women to murder. I'm sorry, but I believe they had a choice. These girls had a choice in taking those drugs, but I definitely believe the devil made them do it.
Yeah.
But also,
hand in hand.
There was one girl. She was only 14 years old.
Yes.
Her parents were hippies.
Yes.
And her parents actually signed a note stating that she could go live with him.
Oh.
Now, this 14-year-old girl, Diane Lake, she even smoked dope with her own father.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep. There you go. What kind of parents?
And she got out of it finally. I mean, she was arrested and everything, but then she was finally released, and she was married.
Oh.
She had children.
Wow.
And her husband died, and so she wrote the book. And she was on Dr. Phil about 2 weeks ago. And she didn't know any better. She didn't even know why her parents just dropped her off and left her there. Her parents had a bunch of kids, and they all lived in a van.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
So she grew up in a van, and she didn't know anything better.
Wow.
She thought that was life. She never had schooling.
I think society, that's the goal. Get everybody like that. Get everybody welfare recipients, cut them off, make them like homeless, and then we're going to end up with animals, for kids. They're going to be...
So what her parents did were actually trying to get rid of their kids.
Basically.
To pawn them off to, Charles Manson, because they heard about him. Oh, he's good, go with him. And they actually signed the paper.
That's the same thing that happened to Charles by his mother. It's ironic.
In these communes,
what comes around, it's not even that. It just, history repeats itself. What scenario?
Isn't that true?
Yeah. So
this woman now, Diane Lake, who wrote the book, she's 64 years old.
Wow.
And, she decided to tell her side of the story of Charles Manson. Life inside his cult and the darkness that ended the 60s.
Oh. So is she, married and has a kid?
But even though when she was able to get married and she had children, and when her husband died, she never told her husband.
Wow, never?
And she never told her children. They only found out after she wrote the book.
Oh, that's disturbing.
Well, it's a good, because some things you don't need to share.
Because she was afraid he couldn't handle it.
Well, yeah, I don't know too many men that could.
Yeah.
There really aren't too many men that would say, oh, yeah, sure.
On, and he passed before her, and she was able to write the book. She had to get this off her chest.
Wow.
It has bothered her for years.
Yeah, it was like
a confession. Her parents got rid of her and wrote a note stating that Charles Manson could have her. And she was 14 years old, and he was having his way with her then. So he also had children.
Yes. Oh my God.
I know. This is.
She suffered abuse from him. She said she suffered physical abuse.
Oh, I believe
the
it.
Beatings.
Yeah.
and being starved.
He practiced what they did to him.
Yeah.
He definitely practiced on his cult members, and that is one of the most common forms of indoctrinations into any cult: denial and pain. Denial and pain. Deny the basic necessities of food, water, bathroom, pain. Whatever causes pain to these people, and denial and pain are just like, eventually the body is going to break down. The body is going to split, break down, and it can't handle it. The mind's going to say, I just got to go away.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it gets so horrendous, too, that if we run into cases where there's abuse and bad abuse, and they're actually having possession episodes, where it's partial. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we don't have the rest of our life to get this. They had so many things that happened, sold into slavery.
Literally.
This one girl, it's like they brought her across the border and she got passed around as a slave. You know how they do these things where...
Yeah.
And it's just horrendous. I don't even want to bring up all the things in the list, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like, and it's like the therapist, how many someone's going to have to sponsor her for the rest of her life, and then if the Roman ritual is done, I said, not to her, but to the person representing them, if a priest did the Roman ritual, it would come back 7 times 7 stronger, because all of these underlying psychological ailments and weaknesses are going to allow it to step right back in, waltz right in, and she may even be accustomed to it, so she won't reject it.
Exactly, yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm seeing this so much more. That's why this story is relevant. So we don't put these things on for any other reason.
About the Charles Manson case.
Go ahead.
Yes.
There is something so sick. Zach Bagans contacted the correction.
Oh my gosh.
Facility.
Oh boy.
To get his false teeth or any of his belongings.
Oh no.
Oh my gosh.
That's to go in his museum. I mean, if you think about it, Zach Bagans has a cult museum.
Yes.
A cult.
And and he practices all, he has people come in and practice and do their thing there. I mean, that's not nothing for people to go in and tour. It's not a tourism. I mean, you're going to be cursed if you go into his place.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Get cursed if you watch his shows now. It's gotten so bad.
Exactly.
That's the
I
new
won't watch
thing.
his shows. Absolutely
You can't get
not.
through 'em.
Yeah, that's
Can't
the
get
new
through 'em.
wave. That's just happening now with this ghost hunter craze. That people are purposely cursing
Can you
their own
imagine
houses.
to actually want Charles Manson's belongings or his false teeth in your museum, please?
Oh my
There's
gosh!
something.
I know.
There's
It's
something
like
wrong with that boy.
Zach Baggins. Oh my
There
gosh!
is. There is.
Yeah.
Christopher,
he's got to be an occultist. Go
You
ahead.
work, Christopher. I know that you've seen and you've dealt with some horrors in your line of work, and I know you can't really talk about a lot of details, but I would like to hear your thoughts about the child Charlie Manson and what actually ended up dying. Sometime between childhood and when he committed the murders. He was still, what was he, in his 20s when he had those kids go out and do it? He wasn't that old, or was he 30 already? I don't even remember how old he was.
I think he's in his 20s, right?
But he was definitely...
I think he was in his 20s.
Yeah, I think so
And
too.
to me, that's still a kid.
Exactly.
For a kid to have that much mind control and power over that many people, they're being directed by the demonic side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree.
And you look at the location he was at too. Previous to Los Angeles, he was in the Haight-Ashbury of San Francisco. He used to do a lot of street ministry.
Exactly, right where they all are.
And that street
heart of
had
it.
like 100,000 people back in the 60s, all spaced out by LSD. And there was a drug spirit of addiction there and a mind control spirit. And the other person that emerged out of that same little neighborhood within 2 blocks is Jim Jones.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Jim Jones sucked in a lot of people from Santeria, because I had some cases out of there in Washington from people that had gravitated up to Seattle to get away from the cults that were there of Santeria. And I think it was a Urimbe from Africa that were there also.
Yeah.
Very strong stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I wanted to, Christopher, we didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh yeah.
No, that's fine. My counselor mind automatically when I had heard he had done this, had passed and all that, and I was reading up on it, his life, and My counsel of mine I normally tell people, when we come into this world, children ideally are supposed to have certain elements put into place by their parents.
True.
Yeah.
And if those elements do not get put into place, there's holes that are left, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But yet the human person still feels that,
Yes.
those emptiness, and will fill those. That's why we have people that lash on to sex, drugs, food, whatever it is. And so when I was reading history and looking at him, in childhood, okay, mom didn't want him,
No.
dad wasn't in the picture, her boyfriend's, doing whatever, and then the reform schools and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't get those elements put into place at an early age,
No.
but what was being replaced was all this abuse
Yes.
and negative and all these things. So it does, and my mind also goes, as he got older and was making these decisions from what he knew, what he had learned, it wouldn't surprise me to think, yeah, there was something else spiritual that had crept in.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Satanism.
Right, and all I can say, I'm kind of with Farah. I mean, what a sad story.
Yeah.
I mean, he did lead these girls astray. He did do these horrible things. Not himself with the murders, but but what a sad story. At the same
That's
time,
the
I
only
think
way he knew how to live his life.
Exactly.
That's all
Right.
he knew.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
We don't even know if this was possibly a generational curse.
Right, and then I look at it and I think, of course, here I go into my deep thinking.
Yeah.
Every life has its purpose. Every life has its meaning, and God, and I say, what in the world could his life have been a purpose? What was the meaning behind it that God could have wanted? And then I think, but even with Charles Manson, God, in my mind, in my understanding, even though he was deliberately making these bad decisions from what he had learned just from his bad growing up, even then I think God in his own way was still giving him opportunities.
Exactly,
little
with his
moments to
aunt
say,
and in other areas too. Yes, he was.
Yeah.
and so I can't totally leave him blameless,
Nope.
because in my understanding of how God works, even with Charles Manson, God was saying, probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
We need to turn away from that. And yet he still deliberately chose.
And
Yeah.
Christopher, that makes a very important point, and this is what we have to focus on. God asked the angels to keep charge over us and to watch over us.
Mm-hmm.
Our guardian angel is never going to leave us. He might be shaking his head. He might be hiding behind a tree laughing at you, but he's not leaving you. And he can help us at any
Yeah,
time.
just imagine all the things the
We
guardian angel
need
and
our
the angels and
devotion.
saints tried
Yes.
to do for him, and
we can't possibly know.
Yeah,
Ken. We can't
or even
possibly
our own
know.
lives, of course. And that's the
But he also never actually killed anyone, did he?
No, he didn't have to. He programmed everybody
No,
else to do it
him
for him.
himself did not kill a soul.
No.
I never
You
read
know
about
what?
the politics of
now
it.
that we're dissecting this a little bit,
Yeah,
this is starting to sound more diabolical.
It is.
on every
Like
It is
aspect,
Yeah.
every
diabolical.
level.
That's why we're
Yeah.
covering it.
doesn't it look like a little bit like this David Burke? Not David Berkowitz. I'm sorry. That made me think
That
of
was
Summer.
the son of Sam.
Yeah,
The
the
one
Son of
that's,
Sam, the Summer of Sam. The Ronnie DeFeo. He looks a little bit like Ronnie DeFeo.
God,
Got his
yeah.
face cut off. This shaggy-haired, bearded guy. Ronnie DeFeo killed his whole family.
Because they get to a point where they don't care. And so, this really goes deeper than a lot of people think. And I know a lot of people have hatred for this man.
Yes, they do.
I didn't even comment on Facebook about it.
I know.
Because
this is the only way we can comment about it.
I'm unsure, and it's unclear to me.
Well, the only thing I could say,
this
sweetie,
much power, and not be controlled by the demonic side. So I believe it has a lot to do with the demonic side.
Totally agree with you.
And it's possible that he could have had a generational curse put on from years ago.
Exactly.
Before he was even born.
All right, folks, with that note...
From his mother right down to him.
Oh, yes. We'll finish that thought when we come back. We do have to take a break and come back and do our drawing, folks. But listen, we've got a great cast here at The Real Deels, and they love you to pieces. Don't forget, we're on every single week. Find The Real Deels on our YouTube channel. It's YouTube.com/Real Deels. Follow us here on Facebook, Kenneth and Farah Deel, OFS. We will have another giveaway next week, folks, so watch for that post so you can get your official Real Deels swag. Okay? Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, The Real Deels, spelling with all E's, okay? Because we're real to real and we're deals. You know where our books are. You know where the beads are. Prayers by the Bead. And we're going to let you go and get some cheese. Or maybe some leftover turkey still. Don't go away.
Everybody's got leftovers.
The Real Deals will be right back to play.
Be right back. This is Kenneth Deel along with my wife, Farah Rose Deel, and we're going to talk to you real quick about our books. We have 5 books available right now and 1 on deck. The books are the Catholic Demonologist Handbook along with the Workbook and Study Guide, and the Christian Demonologist Handbook along with the Workbook and Study Guide. And that's for all denominations. While we also have the Haunting Self-Help Guidebook.
Any and all of these books are going to help direct you to not just the natural causes, prevention, prayers to assist you, to keep you and your family protected.
Yes, real solutions done by real people in the field. And we're sharing our knowledge and information to help you help yourself, or help a friend or a client if you're in the field yourself.
www.swordsofstmichael.org or
www.catholicdemonologist.com. You can buy the books direct and get them personally signed.
Are you looking for something special to remind you what a mystical experience prayer can be? Are you looking for something beautiful to hang in your car for protection? Try Prayers by the Bead. You'll find a variety of original, one-of-a-kind Anglican prayer beads, Lutheran, Methodist, Catholic prayer beads that are made to your specification using our materials or your materials made to order in just about any design that inspires you to get prayed right up.
Farah has about over 100 in her inventory pre-made, and guys, yes, there's plenty of rosaries and designs for you to give to your father, for yourself, for your own prayer life.
We have a variety of exorcism medals, including the St. Benedict cross, beads, anything for your spiritual warfare needs. So, if you'd like some more information, find my page on Facebook, Prayers by the Bead.
www.etsy.com/shop/Farah Rose.
Or on Facebook, Prayers by the Bead.
Yeah, coming soon. We're going to have our first guest on the Real Deal. The Real Deals. That's funny because of the movie review on deck. The Real Deals. And, we're not really geared towards the guest as much. We've had so many guests on the radio show, and it's not easy to find good guests. But his name is John Carpenter. He's local, and he has some books out. He has some lecture material and some great stories that come straight from the facts of the lives of saints, the miracles of the Eucharist, miracles that are related to Marian apparitions, and these are all the ones that are noted by the church. And we're looking forward to having him on, and we'll let you know when that date's coming up. Definitely, most definitely.
On
Back
with the
to
show.
It. Love that
okay, kids. Drum roll.
That's what they had. I don't have a sound effects machine anymore.
I know.
Now
Sound effects machine.
Here.
So you know what that means, don't you? We're going to have to start pre-recording our sound effects machine. All right, folks.
Yeah.
So as you know, this is the month of holiday cheer. Our Christmas season is about to begin, and the turkey has been stuffed and put away. So, as you know, folks, can everybody see that really cool little thing? Let's see if I can get that really good. Up, whoop, 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 right there. Can you guys see that beautiful St. Michael ring? It's a ring. Sorry about my fingernails, folks. I was just playing with the dog. And it is like, I think it's like, it goes up to like about a size 8.5.
I
maybe.
can't see it.
Can't see it?
That's all, hey, hold that. That's wow. That turns out really good. Hold that there, right there. It focused. Okay. Okay, that's pretty good. Thank you very much.
All right.
You just introduced a new feature to me.
Okay, new feature. Okay, now look at all these names we have.
Our camera guy isn't fast enough on the focus.
Before I read off the winner, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Amy, Barry, Davey, hi. Larita, Miriam, Jamie, Jennifer, Kimberly, Veronique, Doris, Dawn, Laura, Russell, Antonio, and guess who just popped in?
Santa Claus.
Just popped in.
All right.
No.
Santa Claus.
Jennifer, remember the little blonde poodle that, our little black poodle's got a crush on? Yeah, she finally remembered we were here. Okay, listen, I think I got them all mushed up. Okay. And here we have the big glass to draw from. Okay, darling. Ting, ting, ting. Here, draw. I didn't have the drum roll thing. Hi, Sonia. Hi, Zoma.
Okay, and the winner is?
The winner is...
Oh, it's blank. Just kidding.
Blank. It better not be blank. I can't wrote these out.
And I cannot...
Hi, Barry. Hi, Amy.
And I cannot read your writing.
What's new? What's new?
It's Jerry? Jenny?
It's not Jerry. Okay, tell me how difficult that is to read. Okay, my handwriting is that bad. Isn't that beautiful? It says Jenny Lee Carpenter.
Oh, it's beautiful handwriting. I can't read it.
Oh my gosh, Jenny, and you just shared today. Okay, Jenny, you are the winner of the gorgeous ring, darling. Now, the next one we're giving away, here, Kenny, draw. You ready? We got to give away the real deals. This is the real swag, okay?
Because we've got them out for the summer.
Here.
All right, here we go.
This one is the Real Deals. Okay, see, it says Real Deals. Okay, it's got like Deels.
Is Rebecca in the house tonight?
I think Rebecca's in the house. Oh my gosh, Rebecca's in Springfield.
Oh, no way.
No way, I'm going to have to meet her. Yes, she was the one that did that dog gig with me over there at Sam's.
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
Better put that aside so we don't forget.
I know. I'm tagging them, Rebecca and Lane.
It's Christmas time.
Now, if you did not win this week, yes, Lori, welcome. Your name was in there. Steve, your name was in there twice. Once from last week and once from this week. So I want you guys to know your names were in there twice if you shared twice. So anyway, this one. Okay.
Checking it out.
And then this one is going to Jenny, and that's so cool. All right, you guys, onward and upward. Thank you very much for joining us again. We are The Real Deals, and we are here to help you keep it real. Live and loud and proud. Okay, maybe not. Just little crowds. Okay. Movie
As
reviews.
usual, we're running low on time. We we got to see the Joker in his own movie. Netflix has had some good movies on lately. This is the one with the cell phone app.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so I thought we'd just blow this one by the way. When we do this, it's not so much a movie review. It is
and it's not
analysis.
An endorsement. It's not an endorsement because it's just kind of like the Charlie Manson thing. We see parallels in the way things operate in ways of temptation, invitation, and we want to warn you away from them.
What the hell
Wow, what was that? Was that like the Van Halen belt exploding?
Who was that?
I don't know. I bet Arnie is going to take responsibility for it.
Probably BeDeviled guy, whatever.
Oh, he sounded asleep. Don't do that to him.
That's not the sound he made in the movie anyway. That was a really bad imitation.
Oh, poor Shy.
Okay, anyway, the analysis is that we compare it to reality. And it's a case study of a certain point, like, because teenagers and everybody watches these movies and they're like, oh, so, like Keanu Reeves stared in a mirror or stared in a cat's eyes or whatever and put his feet in water. Do I get to travel to the other world dimension?
Well, not only that, they're saying,
I mean, we gotta
hey,
set the
Mom, I
record
want to
straight.
watch this, I want to watch this, I want to watch this. Would we recommend this for viewing under 18?
I don't know. Maybe if you're over at 90 and you're already in the grave.
And you're blind.
No, we're not going to give it a rating like a thumbs up or thumbs down or 5 stars or whatever. But look, the premise initially is you begin with victim 1, just like The Ring and a lot of these other movies. She's cursed, apparently by a Facebook app called BeDeviled. It's more of an AI like, you guessed it, Alexia, where it talks to you and seems to know a little too much about you. It gathers data and uses it against you, more or less, and you're wondering, this is too clever an app. Is this really just a guy with a microphone instead? And that's what you're thinking as the viewer, and that's probably what they didn't think of in the movie as the app owner. It's like, did they ever figure this out? There's probably just some pervert, who's on his microphone or whatever it is. But it's definitely Alexia's evil twin brother, or maybe since we don't know the full nature of Alexa, instead of just being naive. We're looking at the exploitation of cell phone apps. We're talking about how they have these occult cell phone apps. Well, this one basically, just like anything, I mean, who said you can't curse an app and then put it on their phone? But it gets carried away. I can't tell if they're paralleling Freddy Krueger or Pennywise or what. But in the Ring style, fate apparently, with this app is the goal to kill the user, in this case by fright, heart failure. We didn't see what they look like when they die because they didn't have money for the special effects on that part because they spent all on the bedeviled guy. But, some of these questions pop up in comparisons to reality. Did bringing the phone with you everywhere bring it with you too? If you're in a hotel and your phone goes off, you go, I hope you're enjoying the pool here. I hear this hotel's 5 stars. You got to try the cuisine. I mean, but not very helpful. And what are the origins? We did not find out. Well, I mean, some of these other movies, we did not find out the origins of the phone. You might have learned something as a viewer. Of course, we in this panel here know what the origins of such things are. Because people are like, oh, it's malevolent spirit. Oh, it's this guy you got picked on when you were a kid. Now he's a spirit in the afterlife, like Pinker. Remember that movie about this guy who infested your electrical outlets in the house, and his name was Horace Pinker. He was that guy who got the electric chair. It was some movie by, I don't know if it was Clive Barker or the guy who did Freddy Krueger originally thing. But I know it's ruining suspension of disbelief to give you the facts, but people have wondered about, an app that's cursed by default. People do horrible things to solve curses, looking for humanistic resolutions, and this is what they do in real life. This is why we're comparing this. Or they think that you have to let it run its course, and then just like, oh, no, it's getting to be 11 o'clock. I mean, there wasn't no time limit on this thing. It's just like you didn't know when it was going to strike. Oh, didn't this gal get the app installed before this other gal? Why did she die first? It's like, why? Because she's at home watching a movie by herself? I don't know. No rhyme or reason.
It was strange.
Yeah. So, it's just this 10 Little Indians thing, the typical thing when you get teenagers in a movie that they all die one by one and they're all clueless and freaked out and trying to figure it out. Some aren't quite freaked out enough, and you're like, what the heck? Can they find a better actor? I'd be quite freaked out if I was that clueless of a teenager. The group of local Facebook teens, and this is a Facebook app, by the way, that they're wiped out one by one. There was no rhyme or reason to it. I mean, even the naughty person didn't necessarily die first, and the smartest one didn't live last. But they tend to have the female character in the movie as the last man standing now for some reason, which is interesting in itself. But it's on Netflix. I got my notes right here because they're highlighted bullet points. Yeah,
we need notes.
And just when you think it's just over, anyway, spirits didn't discriminate. And that's the way it would be in real life. That you just can't go kill people one by one just because they put a stupid app on their phone.
Mm-hmm.
What ritual do they do? What do they do besides invitation and putting a Facebook app on your phone? And it didn't even have the normal elements. It's disguise. I mean, no, you don't get punished as bad if you let your Aunt Elsie in and she's a witch, as you do when you know she's a witch and you invited her over so you could practice witchcraft with her. Your house is going to be more infested. There was someone on the phone who said, well, the roommate, not the roommate, but she stayed over temporarily like a boarding house, and she's out, and they left an infestation there, and I said, you didn't do anything with her? And I got all across the list with the interview, and as it came to be, this person was an isolated incident. We have people over for Thanksgiving. I mean, not us, but people in general can have relatives over who are rather dark, and, have your priest come over and bless the house afterwards, say some prayers, rabbit. The point of that is we got to get this residue off when people are invited in a house across our threshold. And if you're not knowingly letting the stuff in, it's not so difficult to clear it out, even if you're starting to see symptoms of infestations, right, Farah?
Completely.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that blessed are those people that are oblivious and that are not feeling the effects because they completely ignore the temptation.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many that give into temptation, and by our choice, that convicts us.
Mm-hmm.
It really does.
And that's so we have our softer side has a good bedside manner with people, but boy, when they just keep committing the same sins again and again, they're like, why hasn't this gone away? Well, I'll tell you why. And sometimes you're going to have to be the tough, parent that they never had or whatever. But this is just, we're talking about teenagers in this movie too. They have to always learn things the hard way. Now it's getting more fatal, and like in this movie, and it portrays in some sort of overdramatic way, they're doing it in smaller ways when they dabble with these small things, and they wait 13 years like Deb did when she innocently, and I do mean innocently, Deb, because remember, in the 60s and even in the 70s, people weren't aware there was even demonic spirits that walked the earth. The Protestants were teaching that all the demons were confined in hell under lock and key. Even though you get temptations and everybody's aware that, like with even the Flintstones, you have a devil on your shoulder on this side telling you to spend the money on yourself, and the other one says give it to the poor or charity or buy your wife a present,
Oh, Ken, are you kidding me? When I was a kid, I didn't even know what a demon was.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
no one
good,
ever
though.
spoke like that.
No,
you
they
know?
didn't.
Mm-hmm.
No, they didn't.
Not in the house, not in the churches.
And
when I was a kid.
Don brings up a good point about this movie. Where are the parents? And hello, Michael and Christopher. Doesn't that pretty much sum up our society right now? Where are our parents? Our parents have been removed from the household. Nobody's bringing up Junior anymore. Nobody's telling Junior.
Exactly. And on these shows anymore, because, periodically I'll sit down and watch them with the kids. But
Yes.
on these shows anymore, when the parents are present, they're typically clueless or in drastic need of the kid's help.
Yes.
Or something like that. So, in a way, we've kind of given the children the parent roles and the problem solver, and the adults have no idea what to do with life.
Well, I think, look at what our society says. You know, what have parents been programmed to believe? They're supposed to kind of let their kids have the choice. They're supposed to let their kids grow up. They're supposed to leave their children in the hands of government agencies such as public schools to be educated, nurtured, and what? Told what the law is and what it's not. Meanwhile, parents are what? Parents are cuckolds. They don't know anything. They don't know it's hip. They don't know it's cool. They're there to drive them to soccer practice, buy them the cool bling, and let them do their thing. So, unfortunately, society is going, you know, we have safe spaces in colleges now. We have parents that are frustrated wanting relationships with children they never spent time with. That, I believe, is going to be the make or break in about 40, 50 years, is all these children that were abandoned, that were dumped off in daycares.
Well, it's like I said, you know, a few minutes ago with the whole Manson thing is, you know, once again, like you're saying, Farah, these children aren't getting what they're supposed to from mom and dad.
No, they're not. And that bond is the most crucial spiritual bond a soul has.
Yeah.
It is
the
most
school system
crucial.
is designed to usurp the parent, too, now. So you have kindergartners learning about sex education way before their time, you know, to sexualize them immediately. And it, you know, if the parent is even trying now, like all this garbage already in school, infiltrating and, you know, and brainwashing them.
Good point. And that's seen in our advertisements. That's seen in children's clothing. That's seen in just about every aspect. You know, the funny thing is that Ken and I, we were doing a little research for a future program about, you know, children and the sexualization of children and how it's affecting, you know, our culture and it's affecting, you know, our world. We actually pulled up videotapes of very, very over-sexualized black and white images of Shirley Temple and some of the Little Rascals children way before they were old enough, you know, to actually memorize lines. It was really rather disturbing, and I'm not sure that I want people to see this stuff, but it's definitely worth talking about. This is nothing new. It's just blown up on a grand scale to where if you're not homeschooling your children, it's not that you're a bad parent. We're not saying that. We're saying that we're trusting systems and we're not opening dialogue. And that's, as Franciscans, that's what we have to do. We have to open dialogue. We have to discuss. We have to talk and say, okay, is this good? Is that good? How's that working out for you? No, that's not working out. Let's not do that. And people, by the time they get home, they're working 2 or 3 jobs. There's this woman I'd like us to pray for at the end of our show. She's working 3 jobs, taking care of a whole household full of kids, and she's like at the end of her rope. Her jobs are ending January. She doesn't know what she's going to do. She's the only breadwinner in the house.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the story for many, many families, is that they're struggling to make ends meet. They don't have time to try and figure out, you know, is Johnny being bullied? Is Missy being kissed on the playground or groped in the bathroom? It's almost like it's so much to deal with.
Yeah.
And I think, like Christopher was saying earlier, is that, you know, the dissemination of those initial bonds and the abandonment of the family is the basic goal of Satan, to destroy the family. And I do believe that was one of Fatima's warning, is the destruction of the family unit.
Yeah. It's like Manson again, and all these things seem to connect, don't they? Remember Alexia, and we bring up the next topic, and that's accidental, by the way. I didn't do that on purpose. But you notice how they kind of stem together? And we're talking...
Yeah, and you know what? Steve Foster just had a great point. Now they don't try and hide it. Before, Hollywood and the schools were trying to hide all the perversions and giving kids pills. Now it's out in the open. Your kid should be transgendered. She should be on the pill. She should have an abortion by the time she's 15. You know, gosh, get her already.
Yeah.
It's just...
Well, I was gonna throw out something that John Paul II said when he came to St. Louis, and of course I was in the seminary at that time in '99, and at the closing mass that we were present at, he had a wonderful little phrase that so much fits the topic right now.
Yes.
He said, "As the family goes, so goes the nation."
Wow.
and I remember everyone just clapped throughout the whole, throughout the audience.
Yeah.
But it's true. It's exactly what we're saying.
Yeah.
It's so true. I heard something similar to that, Christopher, because our little girls, G.K. Chesterton had a quote that said, why would a woman want a right to vote when with one child she can make, build, destroy nations with one child? Raising one child. So our little girls are these precious jewels that we need to teach to be modest. We need to teach them that nobody touches you, nobody sees you. We need to teach them that they're the most beautiful thing and part of creation that God put here to start generations, to lead men to be strong, to lead their daughters to be fruitful. And the quote that I was referring to with you, Christopher, is that the joy and happiness of the little girls in a nation determine the future of a nation.
Yeah.
And I think our little girls are basically paraded. They are inundated. When I see little girls that are in 4th grade carrying Ouija board purses,
oh God,
I'm crossing myself, and I'm like, "Where's the holy water, Ken?
That's one of the reasons why I keep holy water in the car. Roll the window down. And
not only that, I think Chris might be able to jump in too. That this, as a counselor, I don't know how many adult women I've worked with now who have said they've all been molested or raped as little girls.
Yes,
the number is staggering.
I know.
It is horrific. Now I think you're right. It's up to by the age of by the age of 16, something like 5 or 6 in 10 have been groped, molested, or raped.
Probably, it's probably worse now even.
It gets higher by college. I think the number.
Yes, by college the number goes up, and what's staggering is the numbers of. This isn't stranger. This is family and well-known, trusted friend and coworker and associate people. This isn't stranger molestation. This is people that you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, the ones you trust.
And see where we're it's kind of the thing where we're parading our young girls.
Yes.
Around, and at the same time with our young boys, we're saying, stop. No. Go on.
Yep.
Go. You need to be in the shadows. We're not doing either of them a service. It's like that, which I'm sure I think Kenneth commented, or Farah, maybe you did, about the makeup model boys.
Yes. That was so disgusting.
We're not reassuring our boys as boys and our girls as girls in the way that they should. And like you said, Farah, where are the parents?
Yeah.
Well, and Amy brought a really important point to the board that I have to bring out. Why do we push our children to have sleepovers? Why would you push a bunch of little girls with no adults in a room, lights out, and you don't know? See, this is what, we try and tell our children. You don't go in anybody's house unless we know the parents. And by knowing the parents, we have to have walked in there in the home, and we have to have shaken hands, at least seen the front room, and had a few words with the parents to know that our kids are going to go in their house. They just don't go in homes, period.
Yeah.
So, and to have a sleepover, I don't believe we're going to encourage either one of our children to ever have a sleepover, because what happens during sleepovers? I mean, the most innocent that happens, the kids go in the bathroom and go, oh, let's go look for Scary Mary in the refrigerator or in the mirror,
Yeah.
Or they do, oh, come on, let's see if we can do that witch chant, light as a feather, stiff as a board, let's see if we can lift her, stupid stuff like that. Now, kid games is one thing. But when you have children molesting each other under the sheets and your child is too embarrassed, now, most of the time, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, your child will never tell you. I didn't tell my parent when it happened. Ever. My parent does not know. Ever.
My mother was born in 1933, and she went to a slumber party, and they did this game where you get behind a person and you hold them really tight across their chest, and they get kind of like lightheaded.
Oh, wow.
And then they're like, whoa. Well, and she didn't want to do it. And that week, it was all-girls school, Catholic school. And one of the girls, not from her class, but from somebody else's, group, same school though, died of it. For some reason she passed out, and she didn't revive. You're among all these girls. What are they going to do? It's like, you're funny. All right, get up. By then brain damage has already taken place. She's unconscious. She's not breathing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how long does it take for you to be underwater in a lake before you have brain damage?
How much difficulty would it have been for the parent to sleep in the same room, or one parent to be in the tent with the children?
Mm-hmm.
How difficult is it to chaperone our children? How do we have to peel off our time to be with our children and just crawl around on our all fours, even if it does take you 5 hours to get up off the floor?
Yeah, that's
because we're old.
That's us.
It's something
we can make a difference.
We need to. And somebody else pointed out, I think it was Sonia, or maybe it was Rosalie. Hi, Rosalie.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Rosalie.
We are, or no, I think it was Sonia. The fact that we have the media. We have public school teachers. We have private school teachers telling our children that, well, you are a sissy if you don't stand up as a girl. And a boy, well, you can wear pink. There's nothing wrong with wearing pink. And if you want to wear hair long. So in the process of emasculating our men and feminizing them and masculating our women, or, masculinizing them, we have basically determined that there will be no future generations.
Yeah.
Because these kids are so confused.
So deep.
And it's so, I know, it's so difficult for parents. I mean, I don't envy parents, any parent with kids in public schools. It's hard. Mm-hmm. It's hard to think of, having to raise children, having to provide for them. And in the instance that there are so many temptations in this world, and there's so many things that lead them away from living a good and just life. It's everything we can do.
Yeah, you keep them away from the media, and it doesn't offset what you learn, but then you got to worry about public schools. Because the media and commercials and everything, they throw stuff in there. Like there's this commercial that keeps popping on YouTube, because we're checking out something to do with health or related to your weight. It's more like about vinegar and fasting. And they put this horrible, it's like the Victoria's Secrets for hell, with these big women, and they're greasy, and they're in their underwear and dancing around. And it's like, what the heck is this? Good thing Jacob's not in here, for example. And so it's just, just the mainstream TV, the music. How the music's got all these Satan references. And we played it. We did that one show where we played Jay-Z backwards. He's a Satanist. I know people are acting like, "Oh, Illuminati, that's a conspiracy theory." Well, he's a Satanist. If they're calling it the Illuminati now, so would be it. They're wearing that symbol, the Luciferian, all-seeing eye, Freemasons and all that. But they're hit with it everywhere they go, and in their toys, Christmas time, and the commercials, and the TV shows. Not just that, political too. The communist point of view, the extreme socialist, extreme left, what they used to call Stalinism or, Nazism or anything like that in the past has now been relabeled.
Yes.
And now they're calling the people, everybody else to fascist.
Hey, can we get that ugly picture off the screen now? We talked enough about that guy.
Oh, yeah. It's the Joker from Batman.
I know, it's a Joker from Batman.
That's the way to look at it. I thought we'll move on to also that we had some Ask a Demonologist questions, and this is a point also. If you want, you can go ahead and post questions in the comments line or in the chat room.
Yeah, you have to do it in the comments line because, my Firefox isn't updated, and my, what is it called?
And
Adobe Flash Player is not working, so if anybody's got questions, we've only got about 15 minutes left, but we're going to try and squeeze a couple in.
As we go in here, we had questions from somebody about these two things are related. The top two. What is a servitor? Well, guess what? Zach Bag and Show has a fake bishop on here. Here we go again. There's always a new one every few years. He says he's part of some, I don't know, Russian Orthodox church or whatever. Probably doesn't speak a lick of Russian. We know this. We already checked these people out. Yes. We want to know who's out there to tell people to avoid who. Hollywood doesn't do anything like that. All they see, Roman collar. Hey, can you act? That's all they care about. And then the guy's like, yes, thank God I went to and bought some Roman collar outfit for Halloween, and well, that's what it is. So he's talking. These guys, they start learning the keys of Solomon like they're learning the demonology that the exorcists deal with, or that we deal with on the investigation side of the things, and that includes this second part. Servitor initially is it's like a golem is for the old Kabbalah. Is that with Farah? It's like you conjure a demon, and when they speak of it more directly, and it's your servitor. That's another word they might use for it.
It's like a familiar.
Yeah. And
a golem was a different thing that was produced out of the and it wasn't the
something more direct. No, I mean like it's a clay figure and
golem was actually brought into being by the priest supposedly chanting for hours on end. And
Egyptians used to do that too, but it was those deities that they bowed to.
So I think it might be slightly different.
Yeah.
Because
animated stuff again.
A demon is a demon. When you're summoning demons, folks, you have no clue what you're going to get, how many you're going to get, and when, if you ever will be free of it until you get to God.
It's that idea again where people think that some of them, that that idea that Solomon ordered demons to build a temple of Solomon for to house the Ark of the Covenant, which is poppycock, we'll just say. and that brings in with the lesser prayer. They used to call it the lesser spell of banishing. Yes. So now they call it the lesser prayer of banishing, and this guy, I think, as I understand, brought that up too, and says it works good. Well, when I told the person who said that, he thought he was a real bishop. I said, Jesus' name's not in that prayer. I mentioned this in my first book, the Demonologist Handbook. Right. Jesus' name's not in there. By what authority? You're calling the archangels of the east, west, and the south, and the north, and the northeast? No, they named these, and I said, well, just replace those with, other, we'll just say entity names, because that's all they're doing is they're substituting guardian angel, just like the Ouija board. And you're making an angel board, suddenly it's okay now? And they called it the spell of banishing, and it is from the Keys of Solomon, which is the perspective to the demons. I don't care if you tell a demon to go help someone get a job. I don't care if you practice white witchcraft or you cut a voodoo chicken's head off in front of a picture of St. Christopher and, for a safe traveler to win the lottery. If you win the lottery and stuff, you went to the devil for your favors. So stay the heck away from this these Keys of Solomon things. We had Guy out there. Right. Me and Farah came back with our ministry full force. We got a Facebook page. There wasn't a lot of groups that were talking about these topics. Ours was one of the few, and then now they're all over the place. I guess the devil was right behind us, some people might say. Yes. But there was this guy who had this Blog Talk radio show, which is not really a radio show. It's just a guy calls in on a cell phone and welcome to and he was calling himself Demonologist, and he was standing here in a buffalo stance in front of a inverted 5-pointed star, and he was acting like he was helping people with cases, solve hauntings, and all this other stuff. But I figured, what's the guy is not an idiot beyond that. He was reading directly from the Keys of Solomon on his show. And, I just Googled it, and I found the passage. Because it's online. You can find it. It's in a PDF format, and Google searches all documents online. Google, right? But, stay away from this stuff. If you want to know the good sources, just go straight to the sources. Well, like our books, which are, direct references. Gabriel Amorth's books, the Exorcist tells the story. But I mean, we'll talk about books.
The Catholic Church thing is at too with this.
It really
things
does.
Of Solomon. They're not even using Jesus' name.
Yeah.
That tells you exactly where they're at.
Or
that's pride and rebellion right there. It's witchcraft.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's like that. I looked at it right away, and I said, originally when I saw it in 2006, and that's when the first time it came up, and I called it the lesser spell. Banishing. Later on, we heard it from some guy in California who was also on that show, the Zach Baggins show, who says, I don't know, it works pretty good. Well, yes.
What was that all about?
I never said that witchcraft doesn't work or going to the devil doesn't work. But, I mean, look at the price. And they do pay. they pay with their health. They somehow or another they want payment when it's rendered due. And it's just like the movies, and that. So that's one of the big questions right there. That we want to bring up. Let's double check the chat room line.
I have a question for you from Amy, and this is something she's worried she encountered, and it can be answered a number of ways. So I'd like to go around our panel and talk to them about experiences they might have had. So in this general format, and then if you want, Ken, you can answer it a little bit more in depth.
Right.
The question is, what is a shadow man? What exactly is a shadow man in your definition? Christopher, do you want to start out there for us? What in your definition, what have you heard a shadow man is?
Shadow man, just from what I've heard and people that have had experiences. First of all, I mean, to me, it's just flat out just nothing good. Of course, I know that, talking from you guys, that, it's a demon, or is it a lost soul that has been enslaved by, the demonic powers behind it? To me, like I said, when I hear something like that, people say, "Oh yeah, I had these shadow people in my room," or I was, woke up and there was a shadow. I say, "You need to start praying."
Yes, exactly.
And you need to invoke the name of Jesus, please, because it's nothing good.
Deb, a bomb?
Oh, I've been surrounded by shadow people.
And now you've got the big shadow dog.
For the benefit of the listeners.
Right? I mean, you might as well just
Deb
no, you are never going to
yeah.
get a tan ever again, man. You're going to have your
Connecticut
dog
case.
right over you.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
No, I agree with Christopher. If it's a dark figure, they call him shadow man, but I just call it a dark figure. If it's something dark, and you see the silhouette, and it looks like a vaporizing type of thing, it's nothing good. Because if it was something good, it wouldn't come to you in that form to begin with.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not an apparition.
Exactly. And it's like, I've had good things come to me. And it was always surrounded with light. It was always surrounded, spiritually.
Yes.
Enlightened. So you can tell the difference of good and evil.
Yeah.
And that's where every one of us on the face of this earth has that gift. Whether we use the gift or not, that's up to each individual. It's
And
whether they want to go ahead with their blinders on.
It's a wisdom.
They're afraid.
It is a spiritual discernment,
they want to
sweetheart.
expand.
Yes, it is. It is.
Oh, did you want me to go?
We got to go around the table.
Okay.
Ask Michael, and then I'll stick
after
my
Michael.
2 cents, and then Kirsty will let you have the last word.
Last word. So my experience has been with these shadows has been demonic.
Yeah.
Because I was seeing them all through my life for the longest time, which got me into this. But recently, like the cases I've been working on, one of the cases where it was a full-on demonic possession, and we were intercessing to battle this thing. I did have one show up at my house, and it looked like literally a shadow of a person on the wall, no person in front of it. This one was it's this little like full shadow. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It flew in, and it came in, and I saw it come in like this black dark triangle. It landed on the wall, and we just bound it until it to leave, and it left.
Yeah.
I've had some crazy cases too. I'm working with the ritual abuse survivors, where if there's a cult loyal part I'm working with, it will call in the shadows. And when they come in, what I've seen during this day, it kind of remind me of the scene in Predator where the thing comes running out of the jungle. These look like, if you look more faded than that, like lightly more faded, almost like it's blurred out.
Yeah.
That's the ones I've seen during the day that show up to the counseling sessions. They're kind of crazy. Because they bring them in to torment me, and it's like, you're bound, get out, leave. So it's been kind of a crazy deal with them. That's just the ones I've encountered and seen. I haven't seen the ones people talk about with the funky hats on or anything like that.
Well, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you a story about a case I was helping in Michigan a long time ago with a satanic ritual abuse survivor and her husband. They were both passed around from as far back as they can remember, 3, 4, 5 years old. I met them through the pastor of the Assembly of God there, and beautiful church, and they were going to kind of like every church has an initiation program where you learn about the faith and learn about the rubrics and doctrine, and I had the pastor tell me, that these kids have really had a tough time. Would you talk to them? I'm like, of course I will. I'll do what I can. Come to find out, they were both scared to death because she was pregnant with her first baby, and they were afraid it was going to be Satan's baby. And it didn't matter what the pastor said, because the pastor did not know, did not understand what they'd experienced, the abuse they were suffered. And we're talking 2 kids that were, I think he was probably about 20 and she was about maybe 18, just turned 18. They grew up on the same block, were passed around as children, were taken out in the woods, big cults out there where we were at. The boy's mother was the manager of the local video store. Nicest woman you'd ever meet. His father was, some hunter that, worked. Nobody really talked about him. Now, the girl's parents, on the other hand, I think she was a manager of, like, one of these chain stores. Like I said, no details necessary. But these people were just ordinary people that you'd run into anywhere. Respectable people, dressed nice, brushed their teeth, did their mouthwash, smiled. You never in a million years would ever suspect that these people did some really nasty things, not only with their child, other people, and cursing. So consequently, I got involved with this couple to help them get out of the state and get away from the people they had lied to and said, that they were going to raise the child there and everything else. They were scared to death. The child was going to be already possessed. They came there. They got their baptism. They were prayed over. They had the healing team from the assemblies come in, pray with them. And then just before the girl gave birth, she asked me to be her doula. She asked me to help her give birth to this child because she was afraid the child was going to be stolen, and rightly so. And everybody says, oh, no, you're crazy, you're ridiculous. The mothers are both assuring me, no, we'll be there, we'll take care of it, this and that. And, I mean, we were meeting in the hospital where she was having, the scans and everything, and she'd asked me to come, and it's like, how do I say these mothers, get lost? You can't. So, I was just kind of like the third-party lump sitting there, trying to help these kids. I couldn't tell the mothers that, the kids not only need special prayers, they need you to go, like, drop off a cliff. And as it was, the child was born very, very healthy. She was scared to death. She was either going to die, the child was going to be possessed, it was going to be given to Satan. Nothing happened. For some reason or another, the night that she gave birth, he called me. They didn't call the parents to tell them that they were in labor. And they decided to leave that very, as soon as she could, like, get in a car and go, they were leaving the state. So they left everything at their house like it was. They left with literally nothing but the clothes on their back. They even left, well, they didn't leave because they made arrangements through me to take care of their pets. Left pets, and she gave birth. We prayed. The baptism had covered both these people beautifully. We're talking about Shadow Man. The room was not dark. Outside of the room where this woman gave birth was like midnight. These kids had been subjected to so much torture and so much horror. It would have given anything to have that child. The child was safe. The child and the parents got out of state. And that was a success story. I pray that they're still doing okay in Ohio. Shadow beings are not angels. They are not messengers of light. An angel is a messenger. A shadow, the only thing that conquers shadow is the light of Christ. And never forget it. The power that is inside of you is far greater than anything of this world, folks.
That's right.
And if that little girl can get away, those little children can get away with a baptism and a prayer, you can do the same. Don't ever be afraid of a shadow creature, ever. Ken, you want to have the final word?
Yeah, the jury's out on, because people's perspective, when you're in a dark room and you see the shadow in there, my original argument was no soul in purgatory is so dark that it shows without the light of Christ, which when you're in purgatory you don't have. You're actually, one of your pains is being separated from God entirely. You don't know what that's like. Even on earth you have even the slightest when you're in deep sin or in mortal sin. And that's one of your pains of purgatory, that you would not be so dark. And then you wonder, what are the signs also? What time it appears? It's being at 3 a.m. Purgatory ghosts won't appear at 3 a.m. Whether it's human or demonic, what to say, it's more dominantly evil. I think the vaporous description of the silhouette, it does not have a silhouette that represents even Civil War ghosts. A hat man could be a person from another period, because people wore hats, as we said before so many times. Then why would you call it Hat Man? I mean, if he has boots, or boot cuffs, and you can see sleeves, why don't you call him Disco Man if he's got the big butterfly collar on the silhouette where you can see it, coming up on his shoulders? And people really try to treat this like some sort of phenomenon, and it's not. You're talking about humans and inhuman spirits, whatever they're good or bad, but we're not dealing with angels at all, like Farah said here. And that's a ghost topic here. As well, because sometimes we have to tell that's not an apparition. It doesn't have any features. It's a solid black figure.
It is. It is. And why aren't you comforted when you see this solid black thing? Why aren't you comforted and feeling like, oh yeah, Jesus must be watching over me? No. The hackles on the back of your neck stand up. Your eyebrows go into full alert. Like, what? And you want to run. Yeah. Yes, folks, we're about over time, and we're out of time. We didn't get a chance to get a couple last questions in, but we're going to get to them next week. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for updates. The Real Deals YouTube /The Real Deals. Follow us on Facebook, Kenneth and Farah OFS. If you need some great spiritual warfare tools, head on over to Prayers by the Beat on Facebook and prayersbythebeat.com. As always, our dear Michael, is off the Van Halen belt. He is in the country and available.
He's in California.
He's in California, fighting the good fight there. Christopher Sampson, Deborah Johnson, and don't any one of you guys forget. All right, the battle's already been won. Christ conquered all. We're here to help you fight the fight and win it right. Okay, kids? So until next week, don't forget, if you see my cool post or Ken's cool post, share for your holiday treat.
More giveaways next week.
Maybe
one, maybe two.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Michael, for joining us. Thank you, Deb. And thank you all, new listeners and everybody.
Oh, by the way, we'll get those blessed for you.
Good night, Deb. Yes, we will.
Yeah. You know where your church is, but, we'll do that for you. We'll have it blessed. God bless everybody next week. What's going to happen next week? We don't know, but watch. It'll be same time, same channel. Bye-bye.
Good night and God bless all. Thanks, Ern.